I think people need to realize that there's only like so much that a film can be anti-Zionist while still hiring someone who helped plan the Iraq invasion to consult on the film. Listen to Swana people and listen to Palestinians. If you're going to make an allegory to the genocide that Palestine is experiencing currently, and you don't even have the balls, like, as a private citizen to say that you support Palestine, then, like, what are we doing here? I get that Thomas King profits off the suffering of brown people, but, like, I don't know what we expected from a racist like James Gunn. But some people decide to fight me on that one. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Last Week in Comics, where I talk about the last week in comics. Not in comic book movies. Fuck comic book movies. I'm tired of them. Anyway, let's start off this video with books I actually read, starting off with the new Superman 2025 Treasury Edition, subtitled Hero for All. It's written by Dan Jurgens. He's one of my favorite writers, period. Definitely one of my favorite Superman writers. And it does feel like kind of like a return to form for him, almost. I don't know. I enjoyed it heavily. I think I gave the recommendation that, like, after you watch the Superman movie, if you want to catch up to current comics, read this. I 100% agree. Except for the part where you watch the Superman movie. But I definitely do think it's a very easy piece to catch you up to the current continuity of Superman. You know, the additions like him being married to Lois Lane, him no longer really having a secret identity with Lois, obviously the multiple members of the super family that have appeared over the years. Just like basic plot synopsis, this villain essentially takes Superman off Earth and like hypnotizes him to like think of a world where it's like implied that he was never Superman. I don't think he had powers throughout like this entire like sequence that they're intersplicing through the comic, where like at first it seems kind of like normal, where you have like him hanging out with Lana as kids, and then it slowly gets like more twisted to the point where like Lex Luthor's married to Lois Lane, which insane. I don't think that would happen. And then kind of when Clark breaks out, we have this excellent like sequence by Dan Jurgens. Like Dan Jurgens is both on art and writing, which I miss Dan Jurgens' art. That kind of like details like a Superman's origin story, him being raised by the Kents. Like it is very like a catch up real quick, like, hey, you want to start reading Superman comics like today? I got you. And it's great. I like it. I like Treasury editions. I literally have a Treasury edition, or not Treasury edition. I do have like a Treasury edition right here. Ignore the second people on there. Those don't exist to me anymore. It is also written by Dan Jurgens. I cannot express to you enough how much I like Dan Jurgens. I think it might be obvious by everything behind me now that I realize it. I like Dan Jurgens. That's all I'm saying. He's one of the best writers that DC has. I also do like, so there's a little something in there for us booster heads and beetle heads. Dan Jurgens managed to put Ted and Booster in there 4 separate times. Now, granted, one of them was the death of Superman, which was a event that they were both present for. If you don't know, because again, a lot of people just pretend to read comics and like ignore like a major plot point, the Justice League International was around the death of Superman. Like they were the Justice League at the time. They were the Justice League helping Superman during that. I think Booster gets like seriously fucked up because of it. Is that right? Is that what leads into Extreme Justice?
No, your fave gets extremely fucked up.
No, my fave. Ted Kord ends up in a coma in that book. You see, you do see Blue Beetle fucked up on that rock. I don't know. It was a cute, fun story. I like all of the kind of Superman stuff that they've been doing, because of the Summer of Superman. I think that this is actual good brand synergy. I just wish that James Gunn didn't write the Superman movie. Should you go pick this up? Yes, I absolutely think so. Especially if you have friends who aren't as familiar with Superman in the comics and want to start reading it. Because also, the nice thing about Treasury editions is that they are larger format. They're about this size, which makes them a lot easier to read for people who are not familiar with how close to your face you have to read a comic. If that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm filming this, like, really late. Okay, next up on books I actually read. Of course, I read Supergirl this week. Supergirl issue 3 just came out. I'm loving this book. Basically, it is Supergirl's final showdown with Leslar, turning her into Satan Girl. Okay, and having her cause havoc on Midvale, even though, like, again, she has been trying to build herself back up as Supergirl because everyone in Midvale is calling her phony girl now. It's a whole thing. I really do like this like sequence that they have. I have two things to say about it. So Supergirl was wearing the 70s suit in the last issue, and I was really hoping that like maybe throughout like this series we would get, you know, different suits. You know, we would have the 80s suit back, we would have some of the 90s suits back, the 2000 suits, but not the 2011 one. I don't want that. When we get to the 2011 one, cut it off. But I am a blue skirt defender, so I was kind of hoping we did that. The 70 suit gets destroyed, but then we get this really cool sequence where, like, the new suit is fixed, it comes back, she gets, like, a little bit of, like, a magical girl sequence, and I think it's the best thing ever. I love Supergirl being a little magical girl. It's great. Because, like, what a lot of people get wrong about Supergirl is that they think she's more fight first, ask questions later, and that's not who Kara is as a person. I definitely think that certain adaptations have definitely skewed public perception on that, but like she makes up with Leslar, and she's like, look, I understand where you're kind of coming from. Like, you know, it's a very nice bonding point. It's especially good because a lot of people were like, oh, I really didn't want Leslar to become a villain. She's not. She was just misguided, and I think it's really sweet. Supergirl is not like, yeah, she can throw down, but like she still has like that compassion that Clark also has. The real tragedy of the real aspect of Supergirl that people should more focus on is the inherent tragedy of her, because unlike Clark, she came to Earth with knowledge of Krypton. She is, as much as Clark is one of the last survivors of Krypton, really, Krypton really only lives on in Kara now. And that's like the whole thing. And a lot of people misjudge that. It's like, yes, she has an underlying anger, but that's because she actually fucking remembers Krypton, unlike Clark over here. I digress. That's going off the point. Leslar's parents come back and are like, hey, we're holding you guys in custody on Kandor. You're on trial now. I'm very interested to see where this is going, because I feel like it's always interesting when we get in more into Kryptonian society, and like the city of Kandor is like one of those things where I think like it always like exists, but like I don't think like as much focus gets shown on it as there should be. So kind of having the Supergirl book build up Kandor a little bit, I like it. I've been loving this series. I think like multiple times I've called this the summer of Supergirl instead. Truly for me, it is the summer of Supergirl. Because when that Supergirl movie comes out, I'm throwing James Gunn off a cliff. And Thomas King off a cliff. I'm throwing multiple people off of a cliff. Why the fuck would you adapt that book first? I have more things to say. I will say them later. But anyway, I love the Supergirl book. I understand that sometimes people don't really like reading older comics. If you want to see what Supergirl really is like, don't fucking read Woman of Tomorrow. Read Supergirl by Sophie Campbell. Fuck Woman of Tomorrow. I fucking hate that book. Oh yeah, oh fuck, I forgot Fire and Ice happened. I've been losing the plot of this book, like, very quickly. So Fire and Ice, when Hell Freezes Over issue 4 came out, they're still in hell. The real important thing is that fucking finally we're getting more of Tora in these goddamn books, as her mother is trapped in hell, and now in the next issue she is going to have to essentially trade B for her mother, because, you know, Tora's like, oh, of course, take me instead of my mom, you know, because that's who Tora is as a person, but no, you have to sacrifice B now, and then it kind of gets a little questionable. But I don't know, I feel like with both Welcome to Smallville and When Hell Freezes Over so far, it's been very B heavy. And like, I love B as a character, but like it's kind of clear sometimes that like either editorial or someone's interfering with the book, and B's kind of turning out more flanderized than probably she should be. So it is nice to just kind of step back from B a little bit and start focusing on Tora. This is, again, I don't see a point in getting mad with miniseries sometimes, because unless they're doing unless they're straight up lying like Absolute Green Lantern is, it's a book that's going to essentially be meant for a trade later for people to just pick up and read. People who, again, probably don't really understand comics that well, and I think that it's fine. It's fine. I don't get why people are getting up in arms about this book every single time a new issue gets published. Except for this one, apparently. It seems like people only really get mad when it comes to B, but not Tora, but whatever. But yeah, I do hope that this book kind of fixes some of the issues with Tora's backstory and some of the racism aspects of it. I do think that, the previous Welcome to Smallville set a good foundation for it, but I'm hoping that we, get a little bit more into it, because it was really only, a couple panels. It was not anything. This is a book that's meant to be picked up into trade. Probably go do it like that. Next on my list, Absolute Superman, issue 9. I did not read this fully. I think unless you're Absolute Wonder Woman or Absolute Martian Manhunter, I have not been able to keep up with you as much as I would like to. This one is basically a lot of Omega Men, and I think that for me, the least interesting part of Absolute Superman is the fucking Omega Men. So, the fact that the entire issue is about them helping Clark, there's some Lois interspliced with it, but, honestly, I don't like this book's interpretation of Ra's al Ghul. I feel like it's starting to get back into the racism category, even though for some reason they made him look white. It's weird. I don't like this version of Ra's al Ghul. I wish that they would have just gone with Vandal Savage, because that's clearly what they're trying to get at. And I think it would be interesting with a character like Vandal Savage, where he exists so far out of the main DC timeline. His origin story is so far out. Would Darkseid even, bother changing it in the Absolute Universe, I don't know. I think I would honestly like more Vandal Savage in things. If you couldn't tell by the fact that there's a fucking Time Masters poster back here. They're just making Ra's al Ghul do fucking Vandal Savage's thing, and I'm like, oh, okay. Weird. Still, highlights of this book are Lois and Jimmy. I just wish that, they would have more time. I feel like we're... Obviously, book isn't ongoing, so we're not wasting time, but, I feel like we're spending too much time on this, who's the Omega Men? And I feel like it's not going to be a satisfying payoff overall. Or at least I don't think it's going to be one for me. I think, Absolute Superman and Absolute Flash, I'm still going to, skim keep up with. I'm still actively buying them. I still think that they're good books at their core. But, I personally have lost interest in it. Me thinking something is a good book is completely separate from me having, an interest in it, because I will read some shitty books. These are good books. I would like to support them. I just personally have lost interest in them, and I will catch up when they catch my interest back. Versus, Absolute Green Lantern, I just straight up canceled. I was like, it's only a miniseries. I went to my local comic book shop last weekend, and I was like, hey, can you take this off my pull list? I don't even want to, I want the sales numbers to drop bad for it. Absolute Green Lantern fucking sucks. Still, top 2, Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter. I personally put Wonder Woman above Martian Manhunter, because I think it's doing a lot of interesting stuff with the lore, and Martian Manhunter confuses me sometimes, so sometimes I'm like, I would, read it, and I would be like, huh, that sure was a book. Javier Rodriguez's art is probably what's making that one for me. I swear. Okay, moving on to books I have not read. Oh, wait, shit. I forgot Green Lantern Corps was still a thing. So I didn't read it, because honestly, I think I don't like Jeremy Adams, and we will get to that, because I'll talk about Aquaman, immediately after this. We'll get to that in a second. I don't like Jeremy Adams as a writer, and, doing that Shira and John story for 3 issues kind of just waned my interest to the point where they they're now giving me kind of what I wanted, which was more more of the other Lanterns that don't really get as much screen time. Like, this issue stars Jessica and Joe Mullen. But, like, now at this point, I've lost so much interest in this as a book that it's kind of like, I don't really feel the need to jump back on. Jeremy Adams does this thing where he'll decide to, like, bring in someone from, like, the DCAU, or, because I think fucking the robot from Green Lantern, the animated series, showed up in Green Lantern, or in this book. I don't know what fucking book she showed up in. But, like, he'll do this thing where he'll bring in, like, these characters to try and create, like, a viral moment, and then it always backfires on him. And, like, I feel like if that's the only way that your books are being kept afloat, maybe DC should stop hiring you. Like, I get it. I like Gold Beetle, but, like, dude. And speaking of that, we looked to Aquaman issue 7, for pretty much the same exact reason. So, this issue is unnecessarily cruel to, Mara, which is basically what you can sum up this entire series as. This issue in particular decided to do a time jump. I don't know, everyone in Atlantis except for Arthur is old now. So, like, Mara's dead. Mara just died of being old. They found the beach that made you old in Aquaman, actually.
So I went to the beach that makes you old.
You went to the what?
The beach that makes you old.
Everyone in Atlantis accidentally washed up near the beach that makes you old.
The beach that makes you old.
And that's why they're all like this now. So Mara's fucking dead after, you know, her powers being taken and giving to Arthur. This feels really unnecessarily cruel after what Amber Heard has been through. Jeremy Adams, what the fuck? Also in Jeremy Adams, what the fuck? Why does Jackson Hyde, a character who, in current canon, is like early 20s, late teens, why does he look visibly older than Garth, who in current canon's like 30? And with the added like time skip, because now, so you have like Andy Curry, who was a baby, who is now an adult. Like, now with the time skip, you're adding like 20 years. Jackson should only be like, you know, 40. Probably a hot 40-year-old, given what Black Manta looks like. And Garth should be 50 or 60. Garth should be old as fucking hell. And that is the other thing, because, like, this is what I mean by, like, Jeremy Adams comics are, like, 80%, like, trying to get a viral moment. Because Andy Curry is in here now. She is a fully grown adult woman. We always knew that this was going to inevitably happen. Post Future State, they have hinted at, Jess and Andy are going to get together at some point with the whole Future State timeline. So we always knew Andy was never going to stay a kid. DC doesn't like keeping child characters around, and I think that's valid, because then timeline scrunches, it makes it all weird. Aging of characters is fine if you have better stories to tell. However, I don't think Jeremy Adams has a better story to tell with this. So it kind of sucks that he's the one to do this. I don't know, this Aquaman book's ass. I had, like, good things at the beginning, and then, like, I guess when they removed Mara's powers, everyone was just like, oh, this shit sucks. Only being proven more and more true. In other books I have a lot to say about, because I'm a little bit pissy about them. We are going to briefly mention Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman. Friendly reminder, Tom King is a war criminal. He gleefully talks about the atrocities he committed during the Iraq War. He has no remorse for what he did. The only remorse he has is the kind that he can turn into profit, and even then, I barely think he has that. Because again, there's clips of him floating around where he is gleefully talking about how he helped plan the Iraq invasion. And honestly, he is only in DC this much because he is a Nepo baby. His mom was a Warner Brothers executive. There's no reason for him to be given a special thanks on Superman. Like, absolutely no reason. There's no reason he should have even been in the executive screenings with Jim Lee giving notes. By his own admission, by the way, I feel like a lot of people are like, well, how do you know Tom King worked on that movie? I was sitting in front of him when he said it. Obviously, whenever you want to bring up Tom King, you have to mention war crimes. With how I've seen DC treating Supergirl, and how Tom King writes Trinity in these books, he is also a raging misogynist who should not be on Wonder Woman. He should not be given this much power with Wonder Woman. I remember Daystar reads fucking everything, and Daystar also pirates everything again. I remember Daystar was reading Trinity and just went, does Tom King even like his daughter? And so yeah, stop giving him your money. When Supergirl and Green Lanterns comes out, don't fucking watch those pieces of shit. I don't think either one of them is going to be good. Because there are some aspects of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow that are good. It has nothing to do with Tom King, though. He has a co-writer on it. Steve Orlando had to give him tips. He's a hack of a man. Don't read Tom King shit. Don't post about Tom King shit. If you do, post about how he's a war criminal and DC should fire him. And keep that in mind when you're watching Superman. Like, if you do watch Superman, I don't think you should, but keep in mind when you do watch Superman that Tom King is behind it, because then you start seeing some things and you're like, oh, that's a Tom Kingism. It starts reading like Strange Adventures, which is Tom King's worst book that no one fucking read, except for like the one Adam Strange fan I know. It does read like a lot of like Kingisms where he's like, oh, people should forgive me for the atrocities I committed. People should forgive me for the war crimes. America has a right to, like, interfere in the Middle East. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Suffering succotash. That's a Roman Reigns quote.
Up sellout full of suffering succotash, son!
Especially because, like, James Gunn is also a racist and a misogynist. So it's like, you got, like, a double feature on them. You got a double feature on the racism and misogyny. Oh yeah, also, like, James Gunn did such a shitty job. He fucked up the immigrant metaphor and the Moses metaphor with Superman. How the fuck are you gonna hire the first Jewish Superman actor? Like, the first Jewish actor to play Superman. And fuck up the Moses metaphor. How do you even do that? Like, James Gunn was just stealing from fucking, like... the fucking Viltrumites in Invincible, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing, James? The movie script was so ass, I don't think I can get past it. Like, like, personally, I can't. Script so ass, they call me Rikishi. Next couple books are just gonna be quick mentions. Of course, another book that pisses me off, Gotham City Sirens, Unfit for Orbit. A book that only exists to sell variants. For some reason, we're on issue 2 this week. Issue 1 came out, like, last week. I think they're just getting it out of the way real fast, and you know what? At the very least, they know that it's just for variants, so who actually cares about how... Who cares about monthlies in this case? It might be better to release some miniseries are better to release that way. Like, obviously, if you're making a miniseries to, like, plan to turn it into a full ongoing, obviously have it be a monthly by monthly. But, like, if you have a miniseries that you, like, know is just gonna be a miniseries, and you're just gauging it for, like, oh, if you know that it's just gonna be a miniseries, just release it, like, week by week. It's fine. Unless you're gonna overwork your comic book writers and artists, and if so, don't do that then. Then we have Action Comics 1088. We're still doing Superboy, The Adventures of Superman When He Was a Boy, by Mark Waid. I've heard good things about it. I personally don't really care about Superboy, The Adventures of Superman When He Was a Boy, so it's not for me, but someone might be getting something out of it. Also, just definitive answer for what happened to Superboy, you know, The Adventures of Superboy when he was a boy. We also have Batman Dark Patterns, issue 8. I have not heard anyone talk about this book, but maybe I'm just not on Batman Twitter, if it wasn't obvious by everything about me. Batman and Robin, issue 23. I do think that this book has also lost my interest. Like, I was, like, half keeping up with it because I really like Flatline, and honestly, Flatline was showing up, like, every issue, like, consistently for a couple months there. But now, they're doing weird things with Damian again, and, like, for fuck's sake, can, like, one writer not be racist against the Al Ghuls for, like, 5 seconds? And then, last but certainly not least, we have Batman Gotham by Gaslight, A League for Justice, issue 1. So we're getting the Justice League up in Gotham by Gaslight. Which I really do like Clark's design in this. I do just have a general love for Elseworlds, especially when you let Elseworlds kind of like do their thing and get a little fucked up with it about it and let them do like harsher like stories with it. I don't know. I like this shit. The Justice League getting introduced is obviously Superman, obviously Wonder Woman, Oliver Queen as Green Lantern, I'm pretty sure. Otherwise, why would they give him that fuck-ass facial hair? The cover has Flash and Cyborg, but I don't think they're in it as much. But, like, Martian Manhunter's there. Because any good Justice League team has Martian Manhunter on it. That's just a definitive fact. Whenever they remove John Johns from the team, that's when the team starts sucking. I like this Elseworlds. I think it's kind of fun. Okay, and now on to the indies. From Image Comics, we have a new trade paperback called Transformers Worst Bot Ever Meet Ballpoint, which is a transformer of, I guess, a ballpoint pen? I don't know. I think that this book is hilarious. You should go check it out. Oh, also another issue of Radiant Black came out. Radiant Black, issue 35. Could read Radiant Black, too. Actually, no. Read Radiant Red and Radiant Pink and Inferno Girl Red. I like them better than Radiant Black. Not that many books released this week from the other indie publishers. So we're jumping down to, of course, my favorite indie publisher, IDW. First off, I would like to clarify some things. I think I said that Ryan North's still writing Lower Decks. He's not anymore. Which is disappointing for me personally. I love him on Star Trek. But, you know what? He's getting crypto. He's getting other work. It's fine. Hopefully, someone greenlets a Blue and Gold book by him. I think he would have a lot of fun with the time travel. And DC, you can take my idea, and I will not ever claim credit for it. And if I do claim credit for it, use this video in court to say that I do not want credit for this. I might take credit for it, but I don't want credit in the legal sense. I want credit in the sense of bragging rights. But anyway, Lower Decks is still coming out. It's still a good book. Past couple issues were by the same writer, Tim Sheridan. It's still a good read. And then also we have another Godzilla book, Godzilla Here There Be Aliens, issue 2. It's Godzilla and aliens. What more can you ask for? It's some of the most fun aspects of Godzilla. I say this because I was a child when I watched most of the Godzilla films, so I was having a lot more fun than the adult fans. Then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Nation issue 8. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What more can you ask for? There's another book that Stack wanted to go pick up from the comic book shop when we go there tomorrow, called Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring #1. This is apparently a sequel book. I'm hoping to also find the original, just to see it. The writer, however, also did Godzilla Monsterpiece Theater, which is another book I've been shouting out, so I'm very excited for it. I did want to physically go and get a copy of it because I like buying copies of comics, and hopefully it's good that I can say, next month, when I see it listed as new releases, hopefully next month I can say that it's on my pull list. Usually this is actually my slow week because usually Absolute Batman comes out this week. But I think Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman switch places because the Superman movie was coming out today or this weekend. Absolute Martian Manhunter. That one's going to be on hiatus for 2 months after issue 6 because they extended it to 12 issues instead of the original 6. So they're just coming up with a second story. They genuinely did not fucking know that they were gonna get extended. There's just a lot of Orange Cassidy and WWE edits in my bookmarks. And Naomi hitting Jade with that briefcase. Insert a clip of Naomi hitting Jade with that briefcase. I'm excited for AEW this weekend. Anyway, that's it for Last Week in Comics. Up here is your next recommended video. Is an episode of Ash and Their Fantastic Friends that I do every Saturday, 9 p.m. EST. Is it another episode of Last Week in Comics? Is it a video I haven't even published yet, so I don't know what it's gonna be? I don't fucking know. They won't tell me. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. Down here is the rest of the playlist for Last Week in Comics. I've been doing this since November 2024, so there's a lot of fucking shit in there. Go watch all of them, I guess. And then over here is the subscribe button. I'm doing other videos besides this. I made progress from the last time. And yes, technically I made this progress, like, immediately after I stopped filming, but, like, I still made progress. Look at that. There's less comics on the ground now. Ignore my jeans. I'm at least to a point where I can use my floor again, and I am going to soon... I have to go pick up more bags and boards again, just so I can really quickly just knock out a whole bunch of DC comics that I don't want to make labels for, so I will deal with that later. But we are going to do more videos about how to collect comics, grading, my opinions on that, because I have opinions that are very unpopular about graded comics. And obviously the White Wingfoot video essay, which I'm going to be working on once I get back to school, because I feel like I'm too busy to work on it right now. That's still coming. That's still coming. It's still coming. I know that it seems like I have, like, detoured off of Wyatt Wingfoot because of a certain movie coming out, and, like, now I'm, like, all into, like, wrestling, and yes, that is partially true, but, like, Wyatt Wingfoot still gets talked about pretty regularly, like, between me and Stack. I don't talk about him as much on camera or on Twitter anymore, just in case. Just in case. I'm still listed as the Wyatt Wingfoot historian, but, like, if he's in that movie, we might have a second Psychosis episode. A second one from me. And who knows where I'm going to go after that. I don't think I'm gonna go deeper into DC. I don't know where I'm gonna go. That's kind of scary. And, like, this next episode of Ash and Their Fantastic Friends, that's gonna release... Or that's gonna happen live tomorrow, but it's gonna be in the playbacks when, like, this video releases. But, like, that video is probably gonna be... It's gonna be Ion trying to talk about Superman, like, the movie. Me constantly not wanting to talk about Superman, the movie.
Renna doesn't want to talk about it.
And then Renna doesn't want to talk about it because Renna hasn't seen Superman yet. And then... But I'm just gonna hijack it and just talk about AEW's... they're doing their big show All In, or they did their big show All In. Not to be confused with Paul, who is the Big Show, and also part of the Paulden Lovers. They're gonna be doing, like, one of their big shows, and I'm so fucking hyped for it. We're getting, like, Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné. I don't know. I've had to, like, catch up on who... I know who Jon Moxley is. It took me a second to realize that he's Dean Ambrose from WWE, but, like, I know who Jon Moxley is now. But I had to catch up on, like, the storyline between him and Adam Page, and also the fact that Hangman Adam Page burned down Swerve Strickland's house. Like, he straight up burned down his house, and I'm not even sure if that's, like, kayfabe or anything. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that, and I really like Swerve Strickland. He just has, like, an undeniable, like, vibe about him that makes him cool to me. I think it's the fact that he has just a guy who dances for his intro and, like, just hangs out with them. I think that's interesting. And then you also paired him with this white boy, Will Ospreay, who I like based on the fact that he does so many fucking flips. Like, it's fucking insane. And then also I heard, because, like, what's his face? The Boom guy, the Costco Boom guy, he's gonna be wrestling, and they might bring back the Conglomerate, which I found out the Conglomerate at AEW is, like, made up of, like, all my favorite wrestlers, like Willow Nightingale, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay. Like, it's, like, all my favorite silly little guys in one group, and I'm really hoping that they come back. I'm paying $50 to watch this, by the way. That's how, like, into it I accidentally got. I think I'm having, like, a Psychosis episode again. Stack, I'm having a Psychosis episode. I'm having mental illness again. Am I done? Stack said I'm done, so I'm done. And cut.